welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live with myself, Daniel Caw, the one and only Keith Jackson.
I almost involuntarily went into a gesture there. My finger did it its own.
And we've got a glamorous guest for us tonight, the one and only Michael Gannon.
Frank the Tank.
We called a lot of things, but glamorous is no one of them, that's for sure. How you doing, boys? You all right?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad. Usual Monday. We're almost made to the end of the school holidays, so we're all right. We're almost at the finishing line.
We have plenty to talk about tonight. Celtic, Rangers, reaction to the Premiership's games, but best place for us to start, I think, is for a breaking news story, Keith.
Yeah, this is interesting, and this one will gather a bit of pace over the next few days, no doubt. At 5 p.m. this evening, Andy Anson, who's Andy Anson? I hear you cry. The chief executive of the British Olympic Association, and they've floated the idea again, haven't they? They want talks with the SFA. They want talks with the authorities in Northern Ireland and Wales. They want to take a men's GB team to the next Olympics in Los Angeles, and the debate has started already. Mm-hmm. They will attempt to put some pressure on the SFA to rubber stamp this or to approve it, and I have to wish them all the very best of luck with that, because I've already spoken to some people in at the SFA. This one hit the sixth floor like a meteor this afternoon. They are not happy. To say they are not happy would be an understatement. I have a statement from the SFA. Mm-hmm. Scottish FA spokesperson said that the Scottish FA's position regarding Team GB remains unchanged, but as in previous years, we would not stand in the way of individuals who may wish to participate in any Olympic Games. Good luck with that. That was the case in 2012 in London. There was a lot of speculation at the time that Dan Fletcher was going to be the sort of token Jocko to make that squad. And I think conversations were had, and I think Dan Fletcher was left in no uncertain terms that it probably wouldn't be politically a very clever move. The SFA are really firm on this because they genuinely believe that by sending a men's GB team to Olympic Games, they will then encounter fierce resistance from rival countries who are trying to qualify for Euros and World Cups, saying, well, if that's the case, if they're doing that for that competition, then they should do it for all competitions. So, I mean, you might think it's a bit of an overreaction. I kind of thought at the time, really, but the people that are on the inside of this are adamant that there is a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of back channeling that goes on. And if the SFA are seen to endorse something like this, then it could backfire on them spectacularly. Their priority number one is to protect Scotland's men's team. Mm-hmm. And I think what you can actually conclude from all this is various points over the last few years when this thing has come up. And bear in mind, it did happen in the Olympics in London, but it was just, I think, a completely English side, I think.
A few Welsh players, Craig Bellamy.
Welsh players were in, that's right, and Jack Butland was in goal. Mm-hmm. The SFA at that point, obviously they have to discuss it, what's our position on this? And the internal discussions, from what I'm told, was there were a few doves, there were quite a few hawks, but with this one, at this particular moment in time, with the president being Mike Mulroney, I think he is hawk on steroids for this stuff. And for that reason alone, this one will not get the SFA's approval. Mm-hmm. Very interesting to see what happens and what sort of pressure is put on. But the SFA, they'll go to the hill on this one. They will not give it their approval.
Mick, if you were a Scotland player, right, and I know you were very close, would you want to go as part of a men's GB team to the Olympics? I mean, it seems like quite, LA as well, be a great Olympics to go to.
That's not. I'm not entirely sure that football should be in the Olympics, to be honest with you. I like the Olympics, right? I've enjoyed the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks, and I quite like every 4 years watching folk run up walls and all that stuff, and rhythmic gymnastics and all these kind of nonsense, right? I get quite into it, right? But I don't understand. I think sports like football and golf and all that stuff, basketball and Team USA obviously winning gold again, right? See, all that stuff, they've got their biggest, that's not the pinnacle of their sports. The Olympics should be the pinnacle of their sport. If you ask me as a football player at 19, what do you want to win? It's World Cup, European Championships, Premier Leagues. The Olympics are way, way, way down in the list. So I don't
Mike, I'll ask you a question here. Did you watch any of the Olympic football this
No.
summer?
No, I
Neither
couldn't
did
tell you one. I couldn't tell you one at
watch a
any
ball
point in
kick.
time in history.
Me
I couldn't
neither.
tell you who won it at any point in time in history. I think
I
I
know
seen
that-
something about the USA women won it, didn't they?
Mhm.
Did they?
But I genuinely, it's
Yeah,
not.
they
It's
did.
not
The English manager. I know
it's,
that Thierry Henry was the manager of the French side,
French team.
and that's it. But
it's
Aye.
so
really.
I'm a guy that can't get enough football.
Aye.
But I have no interest in watching
I'm the same.
Olympic
I'm the
football
same.
Listen, I'm
for
more
a similar
concerned.
reason as Mick. The Olympic Games are about every other sport.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I enjoyed watching Andy Murray in the tennis. Would happily, in fact, I made it a priority of my viewing.
Aye.
Must watch Andy Murray, but I didn't watch hardly any of the golf. Didn't watch a kick of the ball in the football.
I'll be honest.
But I was much more into the Chinese versus the South Korean woman at the archery.
Aye.
I was engrossed in
Couple-
it, and I actually became, as you do, an absolute expert after 5 minutes of watching, criticising everybody's technique and all that.
I have to say, like, I don't know, but see if I had the opportunity, if someone went, look, do you want to come to the Olympic? You'd be an Olympian, go to LA, try and win an Olympic medal.
No, not bad.
No,
That
but
would
listen,
be,
guys,
I'd be really attracted to doing that.
Listen, it's a money grab. Listen, the Olympics, the reason why they bring in these sports is because they think it's a money grab and there's potentially broadcast money to be made from them. And football is the biggest business in the entire world. So that's why they want football involved. Quite why they want to mess with our kind of setup in terms of the sovereignty of the Scottish and home nations. I don't understand why. I can see the dangers. Listen, if they get a cast iron guarantee that it's not going to affect the sovereignty of the football teams in the regular competitions like Euros and the World Cup, then whatever, fair enough. It should be good for the kids to get involved in it.
And that Mick is absolutely the most important point. They
Yeah,
believe that there is no such thing as a cast iron guarantee.
Yeah.
The phrase that was used to me earlier was you can't get a little bit pregnant. And I think that the fear is within the SFA is that if we let our guard down on this, people will come for us. And there is no such thing as that.
I grew up near Coat Bridge in the 90s. I heard that phrase a few times, to be honest with you. Not involved myself, obviously.
Aye,
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
aye. A friend.
Your friend Frank the Tank.
Aye.
I came close to getting people pregnant a few times, but the one major thing missing though.
I don't know where this conversation's going.
I was going to say, see when you wake up in the morning, there's sentences you don't expect to say or hear.
No, my misadventures in the 90s is one of them. Or non-adventures in the 90s. I find it hard to get worked up about Olympic football, to be honest with you. And the last time, there was a bit of a stushy last time round in 2012. But I think it's one to be avoided. I'm more, in terms of Olympics, I'm more concerned about the fact that boxing is getting the heave-ho for 2028. I think that's really disappointing. There's major political problems in boxing throughout the world just now. We saw it kind of flaring up with the kind of Algerian fighter winning gold, which is part of a wider problem in the boxing game. The amateur boxing game is in civil war at the moment, and it's been bumped from the Olympics. That's to me is a bigger problem than the football aspect, I think, because boxing's got a great heritage in the Olympic Games, and it's a great kind of breeding ground for future world champions. So that's for me, that's sad. That's a sad one for me, but the football is something to avoid, I think.
No.
I don't mind if they drop the breakdancing as well. We can lose that for.
That's going. That's going. That was a one-hit wonder, wasn't it? That was a one-hit wonder. The breakdance.
That was a strange move, wasn't it?
It was a strange move.
Anyhow, we will have Craig Swan, Record Sports Craig Swan, on a little bit later on to talk about Rangers. He's been at the Rangers press conference today ahead of their showdown with Dynamo Kiev tomorrow night. However, I think the best place for us to start, Mick, is on Celtic, because following last night's Hotline Live, with a very strong response on Record Sports social media, and I should say if you're watching, you want to get involved, please leave a question or a comment in the section below. I think particularly as well, Keith, to your column in today's Daily Record, which has generated a lot of strong feeling, I think. I've got to say, it's not even coming towards you. It's more
nice positive remarks, yeah.
Well, look, I'll read a few.
Well wishers.
Gary Jones, season tickets up by £50, punting 3 new kits, and the team the pitch is the exact same as last season minus Adam Ida. The shamelessness of the Celtic board is staggering. Let's see, we've got plenty like this. After a good performance in the first half, especially one of the contenders for the goal this season through McGregor, the second half we were awful. Winning the title is far from clear cut. And I'll finish with this one from Paul Price. I don't want to be telling my grandson in 15 years that there was a time we had all the money, Rangers were skint, and we never took advantage of it. I'm fed up hearing about this work going on in the background. I'll say this about the Rangers board, they always provide funds for their managers.
Wait a minute here, we're talking about Celtic that have won 12 titles over the last 13 years.
Exactly.
I think they have taken advantage of Rangers' situation.
Aye, that's a fair point. I mean, it is another day, though, that we go by without Celtic, any news about Celtic transfer. And it's pretty staggering, Mick, that, you know, the season ended 25th of May and Celtic really haven't signed anyone.
Well,
from that, you know, Kasper Schmeichel aside, and
a couple of goalies. Yeah, I couldn't win one really good one, in fairness. Yeah, it's 18 days to go in the window, 19 days to go, 18 days to go. The pressure is now on the guys in the background at Celtic Park to get the work done, isn't it, really? I mean, listen, you go back to January, Brendan Rodgers saying there were 3 or 4 quality players short, and that was January. Well, they're one down from January now, so they're now 4 or 5 quality players short from where he wants to be. So the message is what he wants is clear. He said it 8 months ago. February, you've got Celtic board coming out and saying, we're kind of sorry, we didn't really have a good window, we didn't get the targets we wanted, but we'll learn from a lesson and it won't happen again. Well, they've got 18 days to make sure it doesn't happen again. I can't quite fathom the strategy at Celtic right now. I don't know if it's because they're maybe aiming too high and they can't match wage demands. I don't know if it's a certain inertia. I don't think they're hoarding cash. I think they do want to spend money. What I can't understand is why not go out and have 4 £6 million players arriving at the start of August. I know it's not easy. I know it's not as simple as that. But they could go out and spend 4 or 5 £6 million players that will improve the team, and they'll still break even for the summer because they'll sell Matt Riley for 25 plus. They've already banked £6.5, £7 million from the sale of Haksabanovic and now Bosun Lawwell, who's got away today to Stoke. £6 million in the bank for the A3. So they spent what, 3.5 on Bernardo, $1 million the goalie, and maybe a few quid for cash Michael sign-on fee. So they're even just money just now. O'Reilly's going to go for 25 plus. So, and they've got season ticket money in the bank, Champions League money coming in. Already has 70 million quid in the bank at the start of the summer. So I don't quite understand why not just go out and spend 30 million quid on 4 or 5 quality players, get us ready for Champions League, and you'll still break even. You won't even dent the kitty. So my mind's kind of blown the Celtic this summer. They kind of had all the talk last summer about raising the standards. Go back to Ange Postecoglou at the AGM the previous year. He says it's time for Celtic to start raising the bar. Rather than getting the £1 million players, get the £5 million players, turn them into £15 million players. By the $10 million, turn them into £30 million players. Start raising the standards. When's it going to happen? Listen, Celtic are getting away with it now because they're playing really well. They've got a good manager who works the best with the tools he's given. But they're selling punters short. They've got plenty of money. The Champions League is coming very, very quickly. They do need a better standard of player to compete at that level. It was seen last year and in previous years. So I can't quite get my head around why they're doing like this.
I can only assume, Michael, that their plans are in place and that Brendan Rodgers is being fully kept up to speed with you know where the negotiations are at, what targets are lined up, what's going to come. Because we've seen Brendan Rodgers before. He doesn't tend to react particularly well when he feels that the standards that he wants for his football club aren't being matched by those in senior positions. He'll make it very clear very quickly that he's not happy because he has done all the way through. How many times has he used the word quality? He's not satisfied with what he's got. And if he feels that he's being shoved out into a gunfight in the Champions League armed with a water pistol, he'll let people know. And that will feed into this sort of feeling of discontent that you can see. We're picking it up all the time. The comments derisory comments aimed at the board. There is a chief executive there who seems to really enjoy a low profile. I've got news for him. This ain't the place. This ain't the time. You've got 2 weeks to pull a few rabbits out of the hat, and Michael Nicholson really has to deliver on it. If they fail in their responsibilities here, which I cannot believe they will, because it just makes no sense. But if they failed again in a window, and Brendan Rodgers was clearly not satisfied with what his squad looks like at the start of next month. The supporters won't be slow in turning their frustration will become one of anger. And Celtic will have successfully then absolutely shot themselves in the foot, because right now they've got all their ducks in a row. They're champions again. They won 2 trophies last season. Their rivals are in a real state of disarray. They've got everything they need, and they're heading into another jackpot collection day from UEFA. So if you manage to make a mess of that, then that would be staggering. And I just don't think the guys in charge of Celtic, as much as the chief executive might not enjoy having much of a profile or sticking his head above the parapet, he's not stupid.
No.
These guys aren't stupid. So it would be beyond bewilderment if Celtic don't have 3 or 4 lined up, ready to go. And for whatever reason, this is the bit that I have to agree with Michael. I just struggle to understand. They've not left themselves a lot of wriggle room now with time running out.
Well, we've got plenty of comments coming in. As I say, if you want to get involved, hit us with a comment in the comment section below. Kevin Roxburgh, as a Celtic fan, I've given up reading anything about transfers. I will save my energy for complaining about it all in early September, which is actually what you're saying, Keith. And we had one here from Stephen Mulhern. He says the only disappointment's Keith. This is from yesterday, but he says, Adam Ida's transfer fee will have gone up another $1 million with Norwich holding Celtic to ransom. I mean, that's a fair point. If you leave everything to this late in the window, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, do you?
No, it's part of it's negotiations, right? That's what happens. They're doing it with Matt O'Reilly and other clubs as well. But that's what I mean. They can't play hardball over Matt O'Reilly and then expect other teams just to say, right, have an asset for a knockdown price. That's not how it works. Especially when they know Celtic want them. So you can't blame Norwich for digging in, pushing the fee up. Because that's exactly what they're doing with Matt O'Reilly as well. So that's business. But at some point, the button's got to get pressed. You know how much it's going to cost for the guy. If you want him that badly, we're not talking 27 million quid here. If he's that important, go out and buy him. I just can't quite understand. I think the days of Celtic signed 11 players last summer. Quite clearly, the manager said, "No, I don't want these 11 signings." 7 or 8 of them being kind of punts, 1 million, 2 million punts that might turn into prospects. That's enough of that for just now. We want quality over quantity, so it will be 3 or 4. But the clock is ticking. I mean, I assume we know they're waiting to see what happens in the English market as well. That's a difficult market. I mean, Celtic, for a couple of years, they just kind of swerved it all together because it's too tricky. I mean, the wages they get down there are frightening. I mean, bang average players getting 50 grand a week down there. So it's not easy. Listen, we saw it last year with Rangers bringing in Silva. I mean, mega money looked bang average. I mean, that's a guy earning fortunes down there. That just shows you there's a lot of garbage and a lot of money. So it's a difficult market.
By the way, did I read somewhere today that Wolves have put a £17 million fee in his?
That's what they want for him, eh?
I mean, 17 million.
Okay. Good luck with that, Wolves.
See if you can get it. I know.
I mean, he could partner Tom Daly in the diving competition over in Paris, couldn't he?
Right, just before
that's the market. I mean, it is. You're getting your reserve right backs in England are getting 60 grand a week these days at the bottom of the table. So it's a brutal market. So I imagine they might pick up a few guys on loan towards the end of the window from there.
That's not going to satisfy people.
But when you get 70 million quid in the bank, it's not really going to cut it, is it?
No.
Just before we move on from Celtic to Rangers and bring in the wonderful Craig Swan, Mick, Keith said yesterday on yesterday's Hotline Live, he could still see Celtic bringing in maybe as much as 4 or 5 players. Would you agree with that, Mick? Do you think there'll be that sizable movement?
Well, that's the figures that the manager spoke about in December. It never happened. So I don't think so. I think there'll be 2 or 3. I think they will. I think there will be about 2 strikers will come in. They'll get Ida eventually.
Yeah.
And another. I suspect it'll be a kind of English young loan signing, number 3 kind of striker coming in. 19, 20-year-old kind of academy kind of prospect coming in. I think that's the kind of number 3 striker will come in. I think there will be a left back to compete with Greg Taylor. I expect another centre half if they can get Lager Bielka off the books. I think Naroki's still injured, so he might be maybe a kind of I don't think they'll keep him in the first part of the season anyway once he gets fit.
Mhm.
But I think Lagerbielke will go out, so another centre half will be required. And then you look at Matt Riley. Matt Riley goes. I mean, they brought in Bernardo. He was there last year. I don't think he's a like for like replacement for O'Reilly. You're not going to replace Matt Riley, but they'll need someone in there, a midfield player. I suspect a kind of maybe a slightly deeper line midfield player would be on the shopping list, because obviously Cameron can play deeper or he can move up. As we saw on Sunday, he's still more than capable of playing an advanced role as well. We can't go. So I think that's 3 I've said. Left back, centre half. That's 4. That's 4.
You said 2 strikers. You said a centre half. That's 3.
That's striker. 2 striker, left back, and centre half midfield. That's 5.
Left back.
I know who can solve this. The one
that's what they need. That's what they need. Will they get that though? Will they get that? That's what I mean.
The only one to solve this debate is the one and only Craig Swan. Swanee, how's it going?
Okay, lads, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. We brought you in because you were obviously at the Rangers press conferences today, ahead of the Dynamo Kiev clash tomorrow night. How did it go? What were some of the talking points?
Just as you would expect, mainly. Philip Clement looking forward to the game. Obviously, there was great encouragement for Rangers to take from the first leg in Lublin for long spells of the way they played, especially second half, or particularly second half. But I think there's also a realisation that Dynamo Kiev might be slightly different when they play in Glasgow at Hampden. They may be more suited to counter-attacking football. It was certainly something that Philip Clement touched upon today, that they can be pretty lethal in that type of area. So I don't think anybody at Rangers is overconfident. They're confident, they're confident and hopeful, but no one's, counting any chickens. They know there's still a lot of work to be done.
I think the interesting thing, Swanee, is that I think you referred to I'll have it be an entirely different budget to work with if they do succeed in qualifying for the Champions League proper. But I think you also pointed out, but we won't know that until there's only 24 hours left of the window. So it is an interesting one, because I think they went into the summer with 2 different budgets, depending upon what happened at the end of last season. Had they qualified straight into the Champions League by winning the domestic title, I think Rangers had a different pool of players that they would have been looking at this summer. So he's fishing in the pool that he didn't want to be fishing in, effectively. But if they can qualify, he'd then have this scenario where you can go and fish in a big pool, but you better hurry up because somebody's about to take your rod off you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there's also the situation. There's also the situation, Keith, which he quite rightly touched upon today, that this is a long-term rebuild for Rangers. This isn't a snap your fingers job in one transfer window. And he made the point that, we'll only be a couple of days left in this window, but it's future windows. It's then planning for January. It's then you can start to put building blocks in place. And what you're going to, probably the wrong phrase is, you can start to put building blocks in place for when you can plan and who you can start looking at in future markets, if you know that money's is being collected. So
I'm all for this.
I think
I'm all for the
long-term
strategy.
Keith, but there has to be Rangers fans, to me, have to understand that this can't turn around in one window. There's too much to be done, and there's going to be there's lads being brought in just now. There's been a lot of chat over. I know there was chat on the show last week about Hamza Igamani and why is he not ready, but Rangers are buying players with the future in mind as well at the moment, and it's going to take time. There's going to be transition. If they can somehow get through these qualifiers, it'll be a massive bonus, given the situation at the club at the moment. They couldn't realistically have known this rebuild was going to come and banked on getting there. Not that they banked on getting there financially, but even just banked in their own minds on getting there. It's a bonus getting there. If Rangers get to the group stage of the Champions League, it's a bonus.
Yeah, but the one thing I said, I'm all for a long-term strategy, and I do see, the logic in what Rangers are trying to do. But you and I both know, Swanee, even if Philip Clement doesn't, you don't get the time in this part of the world. If Rangers...
But there has to be a change in that, Keith. If Rangers want to get out of the current situation they're in, there has to be a change in that. Supporters have to understand there has to be a change in that. And what do you do? Do you just go back into the same old cycle of knocked out the Champions League, lose to Celtic, say at Celtic Park on the 1st of September, fire the manager in October, and you're back to square one? There has to be an understanding to get out of the cycle. There might have to be a bit of pain first. I think that's the point that Philip Clement and John Bennett are trying to get across.
Swanee, I completely get it, but
the supporters have to get it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but then what if the supporters don't believe in the man that's making the decisions on their behalf? What if they don't believe in Clement? What if they haven't seen enough from his team on the pitch? What if the results remain unimpressive as they have been since the end of last season and at the start of this? What if they get turned over by Celtic in the first Old Firm game of the season and Celtic are then opening up, a 5-point gap or more at the top of the league? I totally get the strategy. But in order to put it into reality, you need to be absolutely convinced that the guy that you've picked is the right man for the job.
Yeah.
And right now, 10 months into the job, he's got a new contract. So the Rangers board are saying that, and they're saying that they're happy with it. But it's one thing for them to be happy with it. If the punters just aren't buying it, then there will be inevitable consequences. That's just the way of the world.
As you can imagine.
It needs to get.
Well, that's up to Philip Clement to dispel those, and that's all on him. He's got to dispel that. No one is saying that he has to go and win the Champions League, play 2 playoff ties 2-0, and then go to Celtic Park and win 3-0. No one's saying that. I don't even think Rangers supporters are saying that. I think Rangers supporters just want to see signs and moving in the right direction. I think what irritated, I can't speak for all Rangers supporters. I'm not sure what they all think, but I think there was just a feeling last year towards the end of the season it kind of gone backwards a little bit, and that was the thing that was concerning them. If Rangers fans see signs, both off the pitch with the strategy and on the pitch with the manager, that it's moving in the right direction, you would hope for Rangers' sake that they would stay patient with it. But you're right, Keith. It's all in Philip Clement. If he doesn't come up, if it doesn't show that it is going in the right direction, then they will end up back at square one. It's down to the manager, but the club have put the faith in him, so it's down to him to repair it.
I'm just thinking, Swanee, it's all right. You can take out Europe and take out Celtic games, right, and say, okay, you've got the patience in these kind of encounters. Rangers should still have enough to compete against the rest of Scottish football, week in, week out. So those are the results that are going to be important for them as well. You can't be toiling against Ross County. You can't be getting beat at Hope and Motherwell. You can't be drawn with Aberdeen. These are the results that are going to be the ones he has to get. And this thing about
Celtic, Rangers should be no further adrift than Celtic at the new year than 3 points, and no further adrift than them in March than 6 points, because they should both be beating the rest. And if Celtic are superior to Rangers and they win the Old Firm games, then fine. So you're right, you can't slip up in the other games.
But we talk about Rangers being in transition, right, and the team in transition. You ask any manager in Scotland, the other 10 managers, they're always in transition. Every team is always in transition. That is football. It evolves all the time. I mean, you ask Derek McInnes or Stephen Robinson, Kettlewell, all these managers, they're constantly having to lose their best players and bring in new players and try and work miracles. That's football. So you don't get to be in transition. You don't get to say, in 18 months' time, this is going to be great. You don't get that in football. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's the old jam tomorrow.
Don't get it.
Theory, and that doesn't appease.
No, I think you do get to be in transition. I'm not saying lose. I'm not saying lose 2-1 to Dundee at Dens Park. I'm not saying lose 2-1 to Dundee at Dens Park and 3-2 to Motherwell at Fir Park, and that's all right. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is they should still suggesting for a second that Rangers can afford to fall 15 points behind and they're playing a nice brand of football. That's okay. I mind this country. No. That's not what I meant. What I meant was picking up results on the way and showing that you're going the right way about it.
By the way, Swanee,
Celtic in the Champions League are a slightly different ballgame at the moment.
That's another thing that you brought up, though, that, Rangers 15 points behind, but they're playing a brand of football that everybody's happy with. That's not even the case with Clement. That's where I've got a
But these are the things he has to fix. These are the things he has to fix.
Yeah.
These are the things he has to fix, Keith. This is what he has to fix.
And it could
and whether he can or not, I don't know. None of us know.
Well, we were discussing the other day, the style doesn't look, stylistically, it's not a good watch. But I wonder what part the quality of the individuals within the system, what difference that might make. You see Czerny, he looks like he's going to be a proper addition for them. But if they could improve the front three, I think he might have speeded up the play through the middle of the pitch. Just from what I've seen, it looks to me as if they're not ponderous as they were when John Lundstrom was getting it and giving it out to the fullback or taking it back off Conor Golson. There does seem to me be an emphasis on trying to get the ball up through the lines, as they say these days, quicker and more sharp. And I think that Conor Barn and Diamond are showing signs of getting it. The problem I think Rangers have had is that once they get up to that front three, there's been a bit of a lack of quality, which then probably reflects on the style of football that they're playing. If you have three better, more talented individuals at the top end of the pitch, the football might suddenly click into place and look a great deal better. So, yeah, that's another factor.
As you can probably imagine, we've had tons of comments in on this as well. This one coming in live on YouTube from Rangers Easy OK. I genuinely could not care a jot about the style of play. We never played decent style of play under Walter. Just win games and the fans don't care how. And he also says, I think we get through tomorrow. It's around about £4.3 million. So we have scope for another edition before the playoff. Still think SEMA is doable later in the window. I'll just fire through a couple more if that's okay, guys. Rab McSee, tomorrow's an absolutely crucial night in Clement's tenure. He needs the money, not just from making the groups, but from winning this tie. Losing is not an option. And George Bain kind of touched on what you're saying, Swanee. PC needs time. He will be judged on performance measured against funds made available.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, it is. But you know, until he actually, as Swanee says, the Rangers fans need to be given the signs that this is the direction that we're moving in, that it is improving, that things are getting better, that there might be jam tomorrow, and if they get those signs, I think he'll bring people with him. But I think there's not been enough of those signs or clear indications to this point, which is why the next few weeks are going to be so interesting. It's just typical Scottish football. There's always something happening somewhere. What you would say about Rangers is they got themselves out of a bit of a hole in Poland last week in the first leg. They could have been in big trouble by half time in the tie, but they managed to dig it around. I don't think he got his team right. His selection, I think most people disagreed with it. When he made the changes that, put Sterling onto the pitch, he should have been on in the first place. Okay, he wasn't fit enough. When he made the changes, it looked better. And I expect, if they got the crucial equaliser, they're now going to Hampden for this second leg. If they can get that, there's a big shot in the arm. These are the sort of moments that can, change momentum, shift the narrative, the whole thing for how the rest of the season looks. Put Kiev out would be a real big start to that. They were unconvincing against Motherwell, but they got the 3 points. That was what was required of them. At this minute in time, they just need to try and get from game to game and see if they can build that momentum.
David Robertson's written in as well. Concerns about Clement are very short-sighted. He took over a mediocre Rangers team that then challenged for the title until the wheels fell off, mainly due to injuries. Right, I'm going to put all three of you in the spot here and ask for predictions. I'll stick my neck in the line. Rangers fans won't like this because it's like I'm jinxing them. They'll beat that team tomorrow. Surely they'll beat that team. They're only very good, Kiev.
They didn't look particularly impressive in the first game. They might come with a different strategy to this one. As Swanee was saying, Clement's identified that they are very, very dangerous on the counter. So do they sit in a little bit more? Does that make it a different contest? But in terms of what I saw from the first leg, Rangers were way below par in the first half, steadied the ship in the second. If he gets his team selection right for this one, or let's just say if the players that he wants to play from the start, or that everybody was expecting he'd want to play from the start, are fit and able to play from the start, then I don't think it'll be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I think Rangers should have enough to go over the line and get into the playoff round. And I think that would be a sign of progress, and that's what we're saying, that Rangers need to provide their supporters with.
What do you think, Swanee? Do you see Rangers doing it?
I think they might. On the evidence of what we saw last week, probably just yes. But there remains a nagging suspicion that was that the real Dynamo Kiev, if you like. We'd heard an awful lot about them after their previous round. We then decided, all of us decided that, well, Partizan Belgrade couldn't have been up to much. But we don't really know if that was, if we've seen various Eastern European sides in the past be absolutely lethal in this country, playing on counter-attacking football. And we've all seen it, lads. 9,000 subs and coaching staff charging them down the touchline as silence is all around the stadium. We've been to enough games, lads, to have seen that a million times. So yeah, it'll depend on and how they are. Rangers, I think, as you lads alluded to there, not great again against Motherwell on Saturday, just enough to get the job done. As I say, on the evidence of last week, yes, but you would be hopeful from Rangers' point of view that Dynamo Kiev are as limited as they showed last week.
Swanee, I know you've been on the go all day today, so we really appreciate you joining us on the Hotline Live tonight. Thank you very much.
No bother. Next time I see you boys, I'll be in the Arctic Circle with Kilmarnock.
Oh, nice one.
Oh, lovely.
Excellent. We'll definitely get
23 kilometres north of the Arctic Circle. So
Has it got an underbelly?
Long John.
I'll
Has it
find
got
that.
an underbelly,
I'll
Swanee?
find that. If I'll find it.
if anyone can find it.
I have absolutely zero doubt.
Thanks very
Thanks,
much, Swanee.
lads.
Appreciate
See
it.
you later.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Just before we finish up tonight's Hotline Live, a couple of other things that I need to touch on. We mentioned Hibs yesterday, Keith, and you can imagine that performance display yesterday didn't go down very well with the Hibs fans. Andrew Lamb's written in saying whoever decided on appointing David Gray as Hibs manager needs to admit it was a huge mistake. They and Gray are out of their depth. Mick, you were at Easter Road yesterday, and you touched on it as well after the game. I mean, it was really dire in that first half from Hibs.
Aye, the first half was particularly alarming how poor they were defensively. I think you got to say it was improved in the second half. I mean, people, I see someone there criticising David Gray. By all accounts, he had a bit of a goal at half time, understandably. And they were better the second half, a bit more lively second half. I think Celtic took the foot off the gas towards the end as well. Mind you got to take that into account. But yeah, they just look really kind of dodgy at the back. I mean, it's like there's not enough aggression in there. They're too lightweight. They're not pressing their men. They don't track their runners. And they saw this against St Mirren as well. I mean, they're making daft mistakes. You can't defend like that. And there's too many teams in Scotland that are really streetwise that will punish that. So they really need to tighten up and quickly. Otherwise, they're in for a really long season. They've made some new signs. I thought the boy that came off the bench, Kieran Bowie, looked pretty lively. There's a few more that need to get up to speed. They looked a bit powder puff up front. Martin Ball, I think, is still their most dangerous attacking player. He works his socks off as well, often for no reward.
I thought he looked a bit off it, Mick.
He was, but he works really hard. He's always got often to make runs in behind. He does. I mean, he needs a bit of help. He needs some help at the moment. He's not getting much this part of the season. I say the news recruits might help him out. I say they look powder puff up front and dodgy at the back. Dangerous equation. But these new signings coming in might help that. I know it sounds a bit of a cliche. They could do getting back to a bit of basics and get tight at the back first and then go for there. Middle apart again as well. I mean, you got to remember you're playing against Celtic midfield yesterday, who are top class. So it's difficult, but they need to do more than that. That first half, just standing back watching. The big thing is they've got Celtic again this week at Celtic Park, and the mood they're in now. If they get off to a good start again, it could get messy. And all of a sudden, the manager is getting a bit of criticism. I think it's unfair. I think he's done well. Anytime he's took the reins, he's done well. He needs time. Talk about patience for Philip Clement. David Gray needs patience. I feel sorry for him a wee bit. I mean, you've had Bill Foley come out and saying he's not really my kind of guy, which I thought was really, really unhelpful from the guy. I know he's putting his own money in, he deserves a say, but that doesn't help anyone, that kind of part. Yeah. So he's up against it, but I think he's got a bit about him. I think he'll get there. But they can't hang about because the next few weeks are going to get bumpy, I think. He actually said his face himself, it's going to be short-term pain for long-term gain, which is a kind of nice wee way of kind of buying himself some time. But I think he could be right as well. I think the short-term is going to be bumpy. But they need to see signs that are of improvement pretty quickly.
It's the old one, it's better to be lucky than good. He's not getting a lot of luck in terms of how the fixture list is shaped up for him at this early part of the season. You know, that's punishing the back-to-back games against Celtic. And again, we talk about trying to build momentum and the mood music around clubs. Mood music around Hibs, if they take a bit of a tanking at Celtic Park next week, isn't going to be pretty.
No. I'm gonna-
a bit like Celtic, right? I mean, the money was there, and the signs are coming in quite late. Like, need these guys in 2 or 3 weeks ago to get them a chance to find their feet. Not try to get up to. I mean, there's half the guys that come in haven't even fit yet. Junior Holloway and all that stuff. And these are like, they're deals you've done weeks ago to get them up to speed. I mean, he's having to do it on the hoof just now, David Gray, and it's not really fair. And he's going to be under pressure potentially because of it. And listen, the next 18, we'll talk about transfer window. The next 18 days will decide where Hibs are going to be this season. They're going to be a team scratching about the bottom half of the league again this year, or they're going to be top 6, or are they going to be competing for Europe? They're the three. There's the 3 scenarios for them, and the next fortnight will decide where that's going to be. If they don't strengthen further, they're going to be toiling to get top 6, or even scratching in the bottom. Simple as that. So it's up to them where they go from here.
I want to. We've ran over a little bit tonight in the Hotline Live, but I want to finish on this one last question put to you both. I've had this sent in by Jackie R. Is Jimmy Thielen finally the manager to unlock Aberdeen's potential? Another big win for him at the weekend. Is he the real deal?
I'll be brief for that one because I've already said it. I think he just might be. I think that he has sort of reinvigorated the place. They've got a terrible record in trying to. Well, they should never have sacked Derek McInnes in the first place, but they did. And since then, it's been one catastrophic misstep after the next. But this is the first time that I felt, yes, I think they might have picked the right guy here. I think he's the way he wants his football played, high tempo, aggressive, attacking. As Mick knows, because he worked up in Aberdeen for a long time, the punters up there will lap that up. And once the punters have really bought into the guy that's calling the shots, that can be quite a place. It can be quite a force.
Right.
And I've got nothing but good feelings for what Aberdeen might get out of this season under Thielen. I think he will prove that he is the real deal.
Mick, Kev has written in saying Lager Bielka used to play under Jimmy Thielen. I don't know how to say it. At Elfsborg, perfect loan, I'd imagine. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Aye, possibly. He might not fancy him just because he played from before. Let's not be hasty with that one. He's off a great start, hasn't he? Made a great start. Listen, it's a major blow losing Majowski. I know he's on his way. The great thing is they've made a lot of money for him, and it looks like, I mean, Dave Cormack, for all he gets a lot of criticism for some people, but he is prepared to back his managers. So they will invest money that comes in. So, but finding a striker that's going to get you 20 goals a season isn't easy. No. Everyone's looking for a striker that'll do that. I mean, the way they done it with Majowski was perfect. I mean, get him in for what, 500,000-600,000, selling for £6 million plus, brilliant business. But doing that again is really difficult. So he's losing a lot of goals from his team. The guys up front, is it Sockler and Papagui? No sure if they're going to cut it. So he needs a front man that's going to bang in 15-20 goals a season.
They should sign that Adam Eder.
Well, straight swap, 6.8 million, isn't it? They got
that's it. Aye, there you go.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. That's no easy. Getting that kind of losing that kind of goals in your team isn't easy.
Absolutely.
So we'll see, but he's got off to a great start, and he's got the fans on board. I see that the players are all clapping the fans and all that. It's all very nice and now. Harder times are ahead, obviously, but so far so good for him.
Aye, absolutely. Guys, I think that brings to the end of Monday's Hotline Live. I should say, everyone watching at home, thank you very much for your comments and your questions. We'll be back tomorrow night. Mick, thank you very much.
Catch you later. Enjoy your tea. Enjoy your tea.
We'll be back tomorrow. Cheers.